90% of people will never build real financial security. Not because they don't earn enough, not because the economy is rigged against them, though there are real structural pressures worth understanding. No, the reason is far more personal and far more fixable than that. There is one money habit running quietly underneath almost every financial decision most people make that guarantees they stay broke no matter how many raises they get, no matter how many side hustles they try. And the brutal part? Most people will go their entire lives never identifying it. Here's what it is. It's not overspending on coffee. It's not eating out too much. The financial media loves to push those narratives because they keep you focused on the symptoms while the actual disease goes untreated. The real habit is this. Spending expands automatically to match income, every single time. And if you've never deliberately interrupted that pattern, it has been happening to you your entire adult life. There's a name for this in behavioral economics, hedonic adaptation. But the financial version of it is something I like to call the velocity trap. Money comes in, and your brain, conditioned by years of marketing, social pressure, and a financial system designed to extract maximum spending from you, routes it right back out at almost exactly the speed it arrived. The account never really builds. The number might tick up slightly for a few weeks after a raise, but within a few months, your spending has silently restructured itself to consume the difference. You feel like you're treading water, because you are. The treadmill just got faster without you noticing. I want to be honest with you about something. When I first started actually tracking where my money was going, not where I thought it was going, where it was actually going, the gap was genuinely humiliating. I was earning more than I ever had in my 20s, and my net worth was barely moving. I had this story I told myself about being financially responsible. The numbers told a completely different story. That dissonance is uncomfortable, but it's also the beginning of actually changing things. Here's what was happening. Every time income went up, lifestyle crept up to meet it. Slightly nicer groceries, a streaming service here, a gym membership there, a car upgrade that felt completely justified at the time. None of these things individually look like the reason someone is broke. Together, they are precisely the reason. This is lifestyle inflation, and it's not a personal failing. It's a predictable human response to increased resources that has been ruthlessly exploited by every consumer-facing industry on Earth. The moment your income rises, you are targeted with products and experiences calibrated to absorb exactly that increase. The people I've studied who actually build lasting wealth over time, and I mean genuinely lasting, across decades, not just temporarily high earners, they are not necessarily making more money than their peers. The differentiating factor is almost always that they broke the automatic reflex. When income went up, spending did not automatically follow. That gap, that deliberate gap between what comes in and what goes out, is where actual wealth lives, not in complex investment strategies, not in picking the right stocks, in the gap. Now there's a cognitive reframe that makes this significantly easier to pull off. High net worth individuals, the ones who built it, not inherited it, tend to think about their future self as a completely separate person they are responsible for taking care of. This sounds almost too simple, but the psychological research behind it is substantial. When you think of your future self as essentially a stranger, you make worse decisions for them. You discount their needs. You prioritize present gratification. But when you build a vivid, concrete sense of obligation to that future version of yourself, the one who will either have options or won't, financial decisions shift. You're not depriving yourself. You're taking care of someone who is counting on you. The mechanical fix that makes this stick is automation, and it has to happen before your brain gets involved. Here is the problem with willpower as a financial strategy. It depletes. Every decision you make throughout the day draws from the same cognitive resource. By the time you're sitting with a purchase decision at the end of the week, you have significantly less self-regulatory capacity than you did Monday morning. The system has to do the work your willpower can't sustain. This means the moment income arrives, a predetermined portion roots somewhere, your daily spending brain cannot easily reach it. Before you see it, before you make any decisions about it, before the velocity trap can activate. The exact percentage matters less than the consistency and the automation. 5% that moves automatically every single paycheck will outperform 15% that moves whenever you remember to move it, which is almost never. Most people pay themselves last. What's left after all the bills, all the spending, all the small untracked purchases, if there's anything left, That's what gets saved. Which means most months, there's nothing left. Inverting that sequence is the single most impactful mechanical change most people can make. Pay the future version of yourself first. Let present expenses adjust to whatever remains. And they will adjust. Human beings are remarkably adaptable when the constraints are fixed. Something else happens when you build even a small buffer of financial slack. And this is underrated. The quality of every subsequent decision improves. Financial desperation is cognitively expensive. When you're operating close to the edge, every money decision carries emotional weight that compromises your judgment. You take the worst job offer because you need it now. You can't negotiate because you can't afford to walk away. You make the reactive purchase because the stress demands immediate relief. Even a modest emergency fund, a few $1,000s between you and the next crisis, measurably changes how you think. It's not just about the money, it's about the clarity that comes with it. Now here's the piece most people miss when they understand compounding. They understand it works for them in investments. What they don't fully internalize is that it works against them with exactly the same mathematical force on the other side. Debt compounds. Habitual overspending compounds into years of lost accumulation. The opportunity cost of money that flowed through your hands in your 20s doesn't just disappear. It represents decades of compounding that never happened. The 90% aren't losing because of dramatic financial mistakes. They're losing because of small, consistent compounding leakage that never got addressed. So here's what actually breaks the cycle. It is not complicated. It is not dramatic. You calculate right now a percentage of income. Start with something that feels uncomfortable but not impossible. And you automate its movement into a separate account on the same day income arrives. You do this before you adjust anything else. You let the rest of your budget absorb the constraint. And then, critically, you do not touch that account for any non-emergency reason for at least 90 days. That window is enough to begin rewiring the automatic pattern. The habit that keeps 90% of people broke forever is the assumption that financial security comes after you figure everything else out. It doesn't. It comes first, mechanically, automatically, before the velocity trap activates. The people who get this aren't smarter. They don't earn dramatically more. They just stopped waiting until the end of the month to take care of the person they're going to become. You now know exactly what that shift looks like. The only question is whether you make it.